Hi, everyone. This is Jillian from Jewish Workshops. It is a pleasure to be joining all of you today, and we are extremely privileged to have Aleeza Ben Shalom on the line with us. Before we get started, I'd love to see who's joining us and where you're from. So if you can go to the right-hand side of your screen, your GoToWebinar control panel should have a chat box. If you can write your first name or your initials, whichever you're more comfortable with, and where you're joining us from, I would love to be able to welcome you. If this is your first time joining us on a webinar, this is the chat box, the one I just described to you. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen. And throughout today's program, please feel free to come on in and send any kind of questions you may have. We will do our best to get to as many questions as possible on the line. And I see people are coming in right now. So welcome. Fariba from Denmark, welcome. Let me see. Shirley, welcome. Sophie from Montreal, welcome. Hannah from New Orleans, welcome. Rihanna from Toronto. This is so exciting to see people from all over the world, and it looks like they are continuing to come in. Welcome, Devora from Israel. Welcome, Johanna. Welcome, Rachel. This is great to see. And as you continue to come in, please just feel free to put your name and where you're joining us from. As I mentioned, I love welcoming everyone who joins us from all over the world. As today is obviously our class on marriage, it is sometimes a very sensitive topic to people. Please know that anyone who's coming in and writing your questions or anything into this chat box, I'm the only one that can see your name. No one else will. So feel free to put as many questions or comments, whatever you need from us today. We want you to get as much out of this as you possibly can. So don't worry about your anonymity. Welcome, Sandra from Texas. Welcome, Dove from New Jersey. Toba from London. Welcome, Sherry from Florida. Welcome, Mike from Virginia, Rachel from Israel. Welcome, welcome to all. And I just want to say, I could be on here all day welcoming people, but welcome to everyone who is coming on in. Shauna from New York, welcome to everyone. From the time Jewish Workshops began, we've offered a variety of programs on marriage, on relationships, personal growth and introspection, and so much more. But no matter how many we offer, we continue to get requests for workshops designed to help strengthen marriages. And I think that goes without saying. Marriage is the most important relationship in our lives. So it makes sense that people continue to want to grow and mature and learn how to make those the most successful relationships. So we asked Aleeza Ben Shalom, a world-renowned professional dating coach, matchmaker, and marriage-minded mentor, to share her expertise and passion for helping people build and cultivate long-lasting relationships. Today is just the beginning, so stay tuned until the very end, where we will do our very best to answer as many questions as possible live on the line, and you'll get to hear about this one-time chance to get Aleeza's full online program at a special discounted rate for attending today, giving you the opportunity to get the guidance and mentorship you deserve and transform your marriage over the next 40 days. It is a supreme honor to be hosting Aleeza Ben Shalom. Aleeza is a professional dating coach, in-demand speaker, expert, and author of Get Real, Get Married, The Guide to Get Over the Hurdles and Under the Chuppah. The founder of Marriage Minded Mentor, which connects singles from around the world with dating coaches, Aleeza has been called the Jewish dating guru for her successful career guiding singles through the steps to become engaged, regardless of age, affiliation, or stage in life. She is also a regularly featured expert in the media. Aleeza's relationship advice has appeared everywhere from BBC World News to NPR to Aish.com. Men and women worldwide work with Aleeza to break through patterns and cultivate relationships that lead to strong and connected marriages. Aleeza, we are so grateful that you are joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and pass the microphone over to you. Welcome, welcome. How are you today?
Great. Thank you, Jillian, so much. I'm really happy to be here.
My pleasure. Go ahead and get started.
Okay, fantastic. So the first question is, Aleeza, you're a dating coach, like relationship dating couple, like, wait, you're giving a marriage class? How can you be giving a marriage class? I thought you were a dating and a relationship coach. So I have a secret that when I talk with my singles and I joke with them, I said, listen, you think that my goal is really to help you get married because you're looking for your partner and that's what you want to do. It's the most important relationship in your life. I said, but the secret is I'm really helping you to stay married. Now, I know you didn't even find your partner yet, but I'm going to give you all the tools you need, because there's no sense in me helping you find the right person if you don't even know how to keep them. And not just keep them, but live a long, healthy, meaningful, fulfilling life together. And to know how to build it, not just on year 1 or year 2, or not just to get to year 5 or year 10, but for a lifetime. And I have to tell you, my in-laws, who are coming up on their 60th wedding anniversary, 60 at the end of this month, December 30th, they are, I think, a beautiful example of how to build a relationship and how to have one that is intact for a lifetime. And I feel so privileged and so honored to have been able to watch over the last 19 years how their marriage has transformed. I got to see a mature relationship, right? From 40 years to 60 years, how it grew. And I've personally experienced in my own marriage, 19 years, thank God, with my husband. And in addition to working with so many couples around the world, not just singles, but couples, I've seen a lot, heard a lot, and read a lot, and talked to a lot of people. But I want to tell you what I'm not, okay? I am not a therapist. So if you're coming here and you're looking for somebody who's going to deeply dig into something with you on a therapeutic level, this is not something for you. But if you're somebody who's here who is curious about how can I take my marriage from where I'm at, okay to good, good to great, great to amazing, or I don't even know what my status is, to please God, something better than wherever we are at today. If you're here for that, that's something that I can help you with. And in addition to singles, I have people that come to me that are almost single, right? They're separated. They're thinking about separating. And when we start to work together, I said, listen, there's no way that I'm going to set you up with anybody, that I can help you to find anybody. The first person I want to help you to find is you. And the second person is your spouse. And before you go looking for anybody else in the world, because let me tell you, the dating scene is pretty rough, I want you to reevaluate this relationship. And it's been a blessing sometimes, because I am actually able to rematch people with their own spouse, give them the tools that they need to build the relationship, and help them to see the potential. And sometimes they come and things are so broken or people are so unhealthy that it's not possible, and then they have to move on, but they do every single thing to save their marriage. And therefore, they know if they should walk away, they did it. But it's not about walking away. This is about reinvigorating your marriage. This is about bringing more life, more vitality to your relationship. A lot of people struggle in relationships. Some people are in a relationship and they're just unhappy often. Some people are feeling maybe bored. Anybody here bored in their marriage? It's confidential. Only Jillian sees this, right? Some people are bored in their marriage. Some people are just going through the motions. You know, those relationships and those couples you see around your community, and you're like, oh, they're not really happy. I mean, they're married, they have a family, they're doing that relationship thing, but they're not really, there's nothing really going on there, right? Some people just go through the motions of marriage. Some people are feeling disconnected, where they want something out of it and they're just not getting it, and they just don't know how to bridge that gap. And they've probably tried. I'm sure that you've tried. How many people here have actually tried to build their marriage at some point in their life? Give me a few thumbs up or hands there telling me that you've tried to build your marriage. You could have done it just for a little bit, a day, a week, a month. You might have been doing therapy for the last 5 years, who knows? But we all invest in our relationships. And then we have this classic, wait a minute, Aleeza, I'm the only one on this webinar. My spouse is not here. Do you mean I'm going to have to do all this work? It's just me, right? What about them? Shouldn't they go to a class like this? So first of all, if you could get them to go to a class like this, great. Mazel tov, it would be wonderful that we could do this together. But if you can't, you actually only need one person to support and help your marriage grow. Not because you don't need the other person, but because it only takes one person to start the change that you want to see happening in your relationship and in your marriage. And so if you're here and you're thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to do this on your own. You're not on your own. First of all, you have me. You have the entire program that I'm going to tell you about and what we're going to do. But you are going to have your partner on board with you, because as you start to do things, they start to notice. Maybe they're not going to tell you they notice, but they notice, and they start to shift and they start to change. Why? Because you changed, because you shifted, or because you shifted something within your relationship that now gave them an opportunity to show up in a different way. So how can we solve this problem? Like we might not be where we want to be in our marriage, or even if we're in a good spot, we really want to get to a better spot, right? I hope that you don't wake up one day and go, you know what, we're good. No, I'm fine. I don't need to do anything else. I'm fine, right? That's not what we want. What we want is somebody who is always growing in their relationship and always growing in their marriage. So how can we do this? How can we grow? How can we build our relationship? So I want to ask you a question. How many of you have spent the last 40 days working on your marriage? This is a 40-day marriage challenge. How many people have spent, not just the last, but over the last couple of years, have spent 40 straight consecutive days working on their marriage? Right? Probably not, like really hyper-focused. No. How about 30 days? 20 days? 10? How many people recently went on a weekend getaway or tried to go somewhere and do something with their spouse? How about date night? Have you guys had date night? Right? How much effort do we put into our relationship consistently and often and with intention? Not as much as we should. We all really don't put as much effort into our relationships as our relationships need. If you have a garden and you want it to grow, what are you going to do? You're going to just take the seeds, throw them in the garden and go, whoop, little rain, little sun, I hope something happens. Some people do that. They do that with their relationships, and they just hope something happens. They sprinkle a little goodness here and there, and they're like, whoop, that's about all I could do, right? What do other people do? The farmers, they line it up in rows, they're digging, they're planting, everything has its spot. This section gets more water, this section gets less water, this one's in the shade half the day, this one's in full sun. They know exactly what each plant needs to grow and to thrive. And then some of us do a combination of that, right? We're a little bit clued in. We're not exactly a farmer, but hey, I learned a little bit about gardening, so I group my vegetables together, and my fruits and my berries go on the other side of the garden, and the full sun stuff goes here, and the partial sun stuff goes over there. And we make an effort to try to get something to grow. And what happens? With seeds, when you put them in the ground, first thing that they do, they decompose and they die. They die. And you're like, what? I just put it in the ground. You're dying. But it's only through that death in that moment that it sprouts forth new life. That seed is actually able to convert and to shift into this full, amazing plant, into something that actually bears fruit. And that's what we want to do with your relationship. We want it to sprout, we want it to grow, and we want your relationship to bear fruit. We want it to be a really sweet, warm, wonderful relationship. So over the next 40 days, as we go through this program, I have laid out an entire daily either exercise, something that you actually have to do, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my husband and I have done. And then there's some writing prompts and some things that I need you to think of, and I need you to get some things out. All those things that sit in our heart, those are things we can't see, they're inside. All of those things that sit in our head, those are things that we think. They don't always come out of our mouths. And when they do, they don't always come out so well articulated. And when you take what's in your head and what's in your heart and you get it out and you express it, you have something that's really beautiful, and it's something that's going to transform your relationship. Besides journaling, which is something that's really important for a relationship to grow so that you can reflect on your relationship and that you can also have a piece of something to share with your spouse, There's actions, there's things that we have to do in our relationship. And I like to call them challenges. That's why this is the 40-day marriage challenge. So I came up with this plan for my husband and myself. I said, okay, sweetheart, here's the deal. We have this function tonight. We're going to go to one of those, community dinners. He's like, yeah. I said, look, normally what happens? You talk to your friends. I talk to my friends. You go to the buffet, you get what you want, you do what you want. We hang out a little, we say hello, we go do our thing, we sit, we listen to the lectures, we get in the car, we go home. I said, that's not going to be what's going to happen tonight. He said, what's going to happen? I said, we're going to be like twins, Siamese twins. We are going to be stuck together side by side. We're going to stand by each other's side the entire night. So when we walk in and we've got to take off our jacket, we're going to go to the coat closet together to check the jacket. I don't want you to just take my jacket and go. I'm not going to go do it myself. We're going to go do that together. And when we go into the buffet, we're going to go in. And when people start to talk to us, my friend comes and your friend comes, we are going to be in one conversation, one circle of a conversation. That's it. So if we're not all talking about the same thing, then somebody's going to have to disappear from the conversation, and it's not you and it's not me. And then you want to go to the buffet? I'm not going to the sushi and you're not going to get the pastrami. We're going to go together. I'll get my stuff with you. You'll get your stuff with me. We want a drink. Don't go get me a drink. I'll go with you. We'll go together. The entire night, we were side by side. And then I had to go to the bathroom. He walks me to the bathroom and he stands outside the door of the bathroom and he waits. And one of my friends came in the bathroom, and as I'm washing my hands, she says, your husband is waiting for you. He's standing outside the bathroom. And I smiled and I said, I know. We're doing this little activity together and we're staying by each other's side. And that's about as close as he could get. And we both laughed. And then we went into the program and the function and we sat down. Now, sometimes we sit on different sides of the table to sit near our friends, to have a nice time. We see each other all the time. Do we have to sit next to each other every moment? Who needs it? But we said, no, we're going to sit next to each other, and stayed in the same conversation. And then we went home and we got in the car and I looked at him and I went, how was your evening? And we both laughed. Normally, we leave an event and we say, how was your evening? Because we really don't know. Because we didn't spend the entire evening together, because we weren't there moving around the room in unison. And I said, I know how your evening was. You know how my evening was. What do we talk about now? And we laughed, right? It was such a pure, beautiful moment. Now, since that event, which was several years ago, every single event we go to, do we practice this activity? No, we don't. Why? We don't need it. There's so many different activities and things that we can do to build our relationship that sometimes we use that. Right now, how did we transition from that event and take that and make it something personal to us? We started doing date nights, but we started doing double date nights where we would go out with another couple, just the four of us, that's it, no more. And we'd sit at the table and all be in the same conversation, and we would all spend time together. And I have to tell you, it is so rejuvenating. It is so uplifting. And it feels so good to be connected. Now, do we always want to talk about the same things? No. Do we always have the same hobbies and interests? No. But when we make time for each other, that's our moment. And we know when we're not doing that, we can go be somebody else. We can do our own thing in the world. I was recently learning with a mentor of mine, and we were talking about unity, right? A couple. You have two souls that are coming together to build a relationship for a lifetime. And the infinity circle, right? There's no end to it, just goes on and on. So I'm gonna give you a visual of what this looks like. Okay. So you see it here, two, right? They're connected, right? They're just right there. Where are they connected? Right at that point, right there in the middle. And what happens when we go to events and do what I told you we did, or we go on a double date and we go to a dinner? We go from this unity, which we think is infinity forever, but we go to this. What is this? This is the completion of us together. This is us binding ourselves together in a relationship. And then sometimes we go and we do our own thing. And we're together right here. We meet in the middle. I'm me, he is who he is, but there's that connection point right there in the middle. And then we have to do things to bring us really together, where we are acting as if we are one in our relationship and one in the world. And it's translated into many different ways that we can do this. The example of going out and doing something together like that, that's just one of many ways we're going to go about this. And we have 40 days worth of ways to connect with your spouse. And I know you're thinking, Aleeza, 40 days. Am I really going to do 40 days worth of exercises? So some of you, like the really good students, you're going to do every day. It's just what it is. You're going to love it. You're going to do it. Some of you, you're going to be like the good student, but not the great student, maybe more like me, right? The middle of the road student, you're going to pick and choose what you like. But the good news is there's 40 options. So you're going to at least find, 10, 20, 30 things that you really like. And some of the things you might not connect to, and that's okay. And then there's going to be some of you that are going to be like, I'm into this, but I don't know, this is like a lot. Each day is almost a year's worth of work, right? There's so much in it. There's so much, like I call it a golden nugget of wisdom. There's so much that's there. And you might take one activity from the week and hyper focus on it because it's transforming in your relationship. And guess what? It doesn't matter how you use this. You're going to have all the material for the rest of your life. It's something that you can always come back to and that you can always build on. But I want to talk for a minute about why 40? Why are we doing a 40-day marriage challenge? Aleeza, could we have done like 10? Like 10 days I could handle. How about a weekend retreat? That's good enough, right? Why are we doing an intense 40-day challenge? So I have a whole list of reasons that I really want to share with you. And this is all centered around Jewish messages of the number 40 and what it means. And when my husband turned 40, I actually researched this and I made him a special painting that incorporated a whole bunch of these things. It was really fascinating. So it goes like this. The number 40 has great significance throughout the Torah and the Talmud. The number 40 represents transition or change. It represents the concept of renewal, of a new beginning, and it has the ability to lift up your spiritual and your physical state. It elevates us from wherever we are, right, to where we want to be. It takes us higher. So let's talk about marriage, right? When a woman goes to the mikvah, which is a ritual bath, and there's the concept of family purity between husband and a wife, she dips in 40 sa'ah of water. And that is the measure of water, right? The total quantity of water that's there. Talking about water, how about Noah? How many days did it rain for during the Great Flood? 40 days and nights. We all know that. 40, there's that number 40 again. How about Moses on Mount Sinai? He went to receive the tablets. How many days was he there? 40. And then he broke the tablets. And what did he have to do? He had to go back for another 40 days again. We're seeing this number repeated over and over again. The Jews were in the wilderness wandering for 40 years, right? They had to go through the generation. They had to go through this cleansing process, this renewal process, and it took them 40 years to go through that process before they were allowed to enter into the land of Israel. And then when they were going to enter into the land of Israel, what happened? The spies, they sent spies in to check out the land. How long were they there for? Right? 40 days. And there's 40 days between the first day of Elul, when we begin to blow the shofar before Rosh Hashanah, until Yom Kippur, which is the end of this tshuva and this repentance process. And these 40 days, they're the most auspicious days for a time of growth. And that's what it's about. 40 is about transition. We also know that at age 40, a person transitions from one level of wisdom to the next. You receive at age 40 Bina. Okay, so for anybody who's 40 here, you received Bina. I'm 44. You don't have to name your age, but I did actually feel a significant transition when I hit 40. There was something that happened. There was also a program that I really wanted to join, and I spoke with the woman who was running it, and she said, well, you can only join if you're 40. I said, great news. This is a couple of years ago. I just turned 40 6 months ago. She goes, well, then you're eligible to join, right? You have the wisdom that you need to be here. So what happens is the number 40 really represents understanding. It is something that's so deeply ingrained in our tradition and in our reality. This isn't something from our past and our history that it's like, oh, that's a nice thing to talk about, Aleeza. Oh, 40, it has significance. No, right now, today, in our presence, 40 is something that helps us to move through life in a way where we can get results that we want. Now, if you go on a diet or you want to exercise more or you want to do anything and you want to create a habit, what do you need to do? You need to be repetitive. You need to do things over and over again for a quantity of time. And so just like with exercise, where you might work out different parts of your body, we are going to work out different parts of your relationship. We are going to work out the physical, the spiritual, the emotional connection that you have or that you feel is lacking with your partner. And we are going to bring those things together. Our goal is to build this connection and to create this unity. Okay, so I want to know how many people, because I asked this earlier, but I didn't really like pause to get the answers. I want to know how many people have made an effort, a consistent effort for a period of time. How many days have you tried to work consistently on your relationship? Think about it. I want you to take a minute and think. How many days have you spent focused on building your relationship? Either I'm going to give to my partner today, or I'm going to communicate my needs to my partner. I'm going to request something from them, or I'm going to make a deposit in my relationship. How many days straight have you been able to do this for? Have you tried it for a day? Forget about days. Let's cut it down. How many hours have you tried doing this? How many minutes? How much energy do you have to do this until you sometimes feel frustrated and then you walk away from it? Most of us don't have much patience. Sometimes we're in a conversation and we can't get out of it. We can't pull ourselves. We're in this relationship, right? This relationship exists here. It's between us and we're moving through the world. And all of a sudden I'm my relationship and my relationship is me. And what do I really need to do to gain perspective? I need to have my relationship here and I need to pull myself out and I need to look at my relationship and I need to say, what's happening here? What does my relationship need? Not what does my partner need? Knowing what your partner needs is great. Knowing what your relationship needs is even better, because our relationship is higher than the level of the needs of our partner, right? Often when I'm talking with couples and they're talking about what I need and what you need and how we're going to compromise and how we're going to make things work, I say, great, let's just put that aside for a minute. What do we need? What does our relationship need? What does your relationship need? And they're like, the relationship? And I was like, yeah, the actual relationship. What does that need to help you to go from where you are to one step higher on the ladder? Okay, one step. We're just going to go one rung higher. And they're like, I don't know. Well, do you need to be invested in it and pursue the conversation? Do you need to walk away? Sometimes a relationship needs us to step back, give it space, right? How many people have heard about when a man comes home, he has to go into the man cave, right? He needs space. There's a lot of stories about that, a lot of talk in relationship world about that. So does your relationship need space? If your relationship needs space, you stepping back is giving to the relationship. It's not walking away from it, right? It's not that you're turning your back, okay? Turning your back on your relationship is very different than stepping back from your relationship. So all we want you to do is to think about stepping back, because that's what's going to be healthy for your relationship. Healthy for your relationship is defined as good for my partner and good for me, it's the best outcome for us together. It doesn't mean that one of us always gets our way. It just means that we have to figure out what's between us and how we overcome this in the best and the easiest way possible. And it's really difficult. Some of the activities that I have you doing, I'm going to tell you about one of them. Actually, can I give you a sneak peek? I'll give you a sneak peek because I love it. One of the activities that I want to have you doing is walking through your home on what I like to call a blessing walk. And I want you to walk through your home and I want you to notice everything. Everything. The rug, carpet. Did somebody pick that out? Did somebody, was it my preference and my husband bought it for me? Was it from his grandmother and it's something that's passed down from generations and so we have it in our home? What is it? What does it bring to our home? Do we need it here? How does it serve us? What's the blessing that it brings to us? How about the things that are hanging on the wall? How about the furniture that we chose? Did we go to the store? We bought our own new furniture. We chose it together. Am I the decorator? Did I go to the store? Did you give me the permission to say, sweetheart, I don't need to make those decisions. You take care of it. You like it more. You enjoy it more. And if you don't need me for that, right? That's also a win. Wow, look at that blessing. That was such a great buy and I love it and it makes me so happy. And my partner, they supported me through that. What else do you have in your home? Do you have books? How do you set up the things that are in your home? Notice everything that's there and take notes on it and notice the blessings. When we walk around our homes, what do we often see? The mess, the disappointment, the what I didn't like and what I didn't get and what's still not right. How many of us walk into our homes with a huge smile every day going, wow, this house, what a blessing, all the things in it. I don't know. I think we're all in the same boat here. If we're human, we're also trained to look for how to fix things and how to make them better. But sometimes the way to fix something and make it better is not to critique it, is not to see its flaws. The best way to make it better is to actually look for the blessings. Look for the things that bind you together. Look for the reasons that you're together. Look for the things that take your family and his family and it brings them into one place, a place of unity, a place of connection. I've been learning for many years with a beloved rabbi of mine who passed away several years ago. And one of his key concepts that he taught from beginning till end, it was the thing that he believed in the most, was unity. Unity was the thing that was going to bind us all together. Now, he was talking big picture about the world. And when I heard that, I said, yes, unity. But for me, forget about the world for a minute. We can't worry about the world until we worry about our world. We can't worry about anything outside of us until we hyper focus on what's here. What is it that we have that brings us together? What is it that keeps us together? What's the foundation of who we are? Some of the things that we're going to talk about, soulmate, shared, how are we meant to be together? Are we not meant to be together? How many of you have ever had doubts about being together? It's a real thing. People get married and I don't know if I married the right person. I mean, I married a good person, but did I marry the right person? Was this my soulmate? Did I pick the right person? It's a question that people have. So because I work in the business of soulmates, I'm going to tell you, if you're married, then that is your soulmate. When does this person become your soulmate? You're looking around the world, right? You went all around, you dated, you did whatever you did, and now you ended up with your partner and you're married. How do you know this is your person? Why are we even in this? If we're in a good marriage, we know why we're in this. If we're having a bad day in a good marriage, we sometimes forget why we're in this, right? If we're in a challenging marriage, we really forget why we're in this. But what do we know? What we know is when you get married, that moment where you look into the entire world and you look all around and you say, no, you're not for me. No, you're not for me. No, you're not for me. You're for me. I am for you and you are for me. I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. And you pick that one person and you say, you're my person. When you get married, that's the moment that you become soulmates. Before then, they have soulmate potential. Maybe they could be your person, right? You're hoping they could be your person. But when you get married, it's in that moment that you make them their soulmate. Now what happens? If you want to stay married, every day you have to make them your soulmate again and again. And that's really at the root and the core of what this is about. We have to refresh and we have to bring new energy and new ideas and new concepts into our relationship so that we can build our relationship and have it last a lifetime. Can you imagine my in-laws who are married for 60 years? Do you think there's a conversation that they haven't had yet? I mean, with the pandemic, it helped. That was a new one, right? But there's so many things that they know about each other. They know their food preferences. They know when this one's hot and that one's cold, and open the window and close the window, right? And make sure to bring a warm jacket because you're going to be freezing and I'm going to be hot. And they know everything. They know how to handle their lives together. And yet they still have to look for ways to bring their relationship together, right? Because you can't wake up one morning and go, what am I doing with you? What are we going to talk about that? I'm bored. Heard that one before. How many of us have sat at the table and actually heard the story and been like, oh, that one again? That story again, right? If you're going to be married, you're going to hear the stories over and over again. And especially if you welcome guests into your home, right? What do you have? You have your stories. And what are your stories? As a couple, what are your stories? Your stories are like little diamonds and little gems in the world that you create. And you populate the world with them. And then you share them. And you share the experiences that you have together. And those stories, it's a foundation of your relationship that takes you step by step by step by step by step to the next place that you need to be. And wherever you go, you always have room to grow. It doesn't matter. Even if you're in a place where you're high, you can go higher. And if you're in a place where you're low and you think, Aleeza, I can't get there, I don't know how to do this, you can. Because you choose to make an effort. One of you, one that's here right now, is choosing to make an effort. Because you're choosing to make this effort right now, you are able to make a difference in your relationship. And that's the goal. A 40-day marriage challenge is, can I challenge myself to learn something new? Can I challenge myself to try something new? Can I challenge myself to take my relationship to a deeper level, right? We're good. We got married. We chose each other. We've talked about so many things. We love each other. We're here. But some days, I love you, but I don't exactly like you, right? I don't like you. It's not I don't like you. It's I don't like your behavior, right? It's not about you. It's your behavior. I don't like your behavior. And then for anybody who has thinking, OCD, or, thinking that continually runs in your mind, you start to spin out about your thinking. I don't like that he or she does that. I don't like the way that they speak to me. I don't like that they can't remember whatever it is, right? We all have those personal things that bother us. And when we hyper focus on all of the things that bother us, what happens? We start to feel dissatisfied with our relationship, with our partner, and we're not super invested. And then it continues down that path. Thoughts are going to come into your mind on a daily basis about your relationship and about your partner. They're going to keep coming because that's what our brain does, right? We get downloads, we get information, it keeps coming. What's our job? Not to hang on to any negative thoughts, not to hang on to the things that pull our marriage down. Yesterday, when my partner came home, totally ignored me, didn't greet me at the door, didn't say hello to me 10 minutes later, wasn't focused on me, sat down, we had dinner, hardly said a word. or just completely ignored me. Ugh, I'm so tired of it. If I grab onto that thinking, what happens? I'm going to be in a really bad mood and my relationship is going to sink. And it's not going to sink for a day. It's going to start to sink for a decade because repetitive things start to come back and it haunts us and we start to have negative feelings and I don't feel good towards my partner. You know what? I don't even feel like making an effort. If I don't hyper focus on that, I can acknowledge it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It exists. Oh, no acknowledgement. That happened before. Okay. Okay, right? And then your partner comes down and maybe they do one little thing. Maybe they, I don't know, they got a glass, they got something to drink, they took their cup. Normally they just leave it there. They leave everything is left a mess. They actually put it in the sink this time. If you're wrapped up in your negative thinking, you're never going to see it. But when you start to open your eyes and you go, what's here in my relationship? What's here for me? What's happening, right? The blessing walk around your house. What do I see? What's good? Then you're going to catch your partner doing something good. And when you catch your partner doing something good, what are you going to feel? You're going to feel good. What are you going to think about your relationship? You're going to start to think good things. And then it's going to start to spin out and cycle into what? A positive, healthy relationship that has the ability and the capacity to grow to much greater heights. And that's what we need. We need you to have all the tools and all the skills that you need to be able to look at your partner and to say, look, you've got good. I like your good. That's why I married you. You've got this other stuff. This is not my favorite. I got it. You get the good in a relationship and the other. I'll never say you get the bad. You get the good and the other. What is other? Other is not bad. Other is simply what I don't prefer. I don't prefer this. It's something else. I don't like it. It's not my thing. It's not my style. It's not your best habit or quality. It's not for me. Ugh, right? But you get the good. You don't marry somebody for the other. You marry somebody for the good. I'm going to pull up a quote for you that I have that I loved. And I just sent it to someone recently. This is by John Gottman, who is one of my favorite relationship authors. And he has a book called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. And he said, when choosing a long-term partner, you'll inevitably choose a set of unsolvable problems that you'll be grappling with for the next 10, 20, or 50 years. Marriages are successful to the degree that the problems you choose are the ones that you can cope with. Okay? Marriages are successful to the degree that the problems that you choose are the ones that we can cope with. And that's what happens. That's why we get the good and the other. It's not bad. It's just the problems we can cope with. Some days we do a little better. Some days we do a little worse. But those are the problems. Those are the challenges. Those are the things that we can cope with. But what do we want to focus on? We want to focus on our marriage. We want to focus on building our marriage. We want to talk about how to take our relationship from where it's at to where we really want to be. I want to tell you one thing special about the program. I'm going to actually just pull this up also because I want you to hear what we put together. So maybe I'll hold this up to the camera so you can see here. This is, let's see if this is going to work here. This is our 40-day marriage challenge. And as you go through this, you are going to see each day there's an activity. There's something that you're going to do. There's something that we're going to tell you about. And it's going to challenge you. It's either going to challenge your thinking. It might challenge you in doing an action, right? There's something that's going to create, I want a little movement. We need a little movement to get change, okay? And in addition to that, we then have this worksheet page. At the top, there's a beautiful quote, 40 days of quotes. So this one, for example, says, a husband and a wife are one soul, separated only through their descent to this world. When they are married, they are reunited again. So we have an inspirational quote. This one came from the Zohar. And then below that, there's 2 boxes. The top box says, I love my spouse because, And the bottom box says, I will show up for them by ... Okay? We're going to focus on building your relationship through all of these exercises and all of these activities. And this is the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake is on a daily basis, I'm going to focus on, I love my spouse because, okay? Not I'm going to criticize them because, not I'm irritated with them because, not I don't like this habit of theirs, they've got to change it because, not we need therapy and this is the only thing, I can't do anything, I don't know what to do anymore. No, I love my spouse because. Why do you love them? Now, is there anybody here who has a list of reasons why they love and value and appreciate your spouse? Is there anybody here? Jillian, if anybody pops in to say that they've done this, I want to know.
Yeah, you can just come right back to the question box and put in either me, yes, I've done it, I have it. Let us know right here. And then I can let you know, oh yeah, somebody actually came back. She said, me, I have, yes.
Okay, so that list, it's not that you've done it in the past. I need you to have that in the present, okay? What I value about my partner. It's not a stagnant list. It is not that you write it once and, signed, sealed, and delivered. That's it. What you love about your partner is something that should be growing and changing on a daily basis. You should constantly be adding to that list of what I love and I value about my partner. But when we're too busy, zoomed in and hyper focused on what's going on in our life that's really challenging or that is frustrating us, we can't do that. So we have to make time. We have to hyper focus on these things because they won't naturally come. It's not just one day you're going to wake up and go, oh, I should just add to my list the things that I love about my spouse, right? It's not something that we do naturally. It's something that we have to remember to do. It's something that we have to challenge ourselves to do because it doesn't come so easily and it doesn't come so naturally to all of us. This isn't just you alone. It's not just me alone. It's all of us. We're built like this. And then we have to say, I am going to show up for my spouse by doing what? How are you showing up in your relationship? Okay. These are prompts that are there that are just ongoing because I want this to be ingrained in your memory forever. I always want you to be thinking about, how did I show up for my spouse today? Okay, I had meetings all day. I hardly had a minute to go to the bathroom or to get a bite to eat. I came home. They just want to talk to me. I didn't even know what to, I couldn't handle it. Okay, but I could show up for my spouse today by, I could sit down for 5 minutes. I could talk with them. I could say, listen, I had a long day. I had a hard day, and I'm so sorry. I don't have more time for you, but I have 5 minutes. How are you doing? How's your day? What's going on? And you could spend 5 minutes doing that instead of being in overwhelm. Now we could all find 5 minutes in our day. We might not be able to find an hour to have a conversation, but we could have 5 minutes. So the question becomes, how am I showing up for my spouse? And this isn't like, this is the golden nugget of wisdom that you can get here right now, but we have 40 days worth of activities to take you through each and every one of them. And my goal is to take your thinking wherever you're at, and I want to expand it, and I want to expand it, and I want to expand it. I want your thinking to grow so that you have so many more tools in your toolbox so that your marriage, at any point, you can go to that toolbox, you can pull it out and you can be like, this one, we need this right now. I know the thing that's going to help us. I know what's going to support us. I know how to get us from good to great. I know how to get us from today till tomorrow. And by having these tools, these are things that you carry with you, and by practicing them day in and day out and having a whole group of people that are practicing them with you, there's nothing better than that because it's motivational and it's inspirational and you get all of the support that you need. Think about it. Are you going to do it on your own without everybody supporting you? Probably not, right? Good intentions, right? Have you done it in the past? Have you ever done a 40-day straight focus marriage challenge? I'm going to make something happen. Probably. Has anybody done it? If there's anybody who has done it, I want to know. 40 days straight of really focusing on it. And it's not, I'm not telling you have to focus on it for an hour. These aren't hour activities. These are mind activities. These are heart and soul activities that are going to carry you through the day consistently. So I want to encourage you that if this is something that resonates with you, and if you're thinking, wow, this is something that I need for my life, I need for my marriage, there's other people that need this too, your friends. And when you come together with friends and like-minded people, it helps you to get the motivation doing it, right? Like, oh, we're going to start exercising. What do? You get yourself a walking buddy and you go together, right? Why? For accountability, because on my own, I might not do it, right? So if you have any friends and you're thinking, wow, this is great, I need this, and I have a friend and I know that they need this, please share this with them. My goal is that we have healthy, long-lasting marriages. I always joke, I wrote this book called Get Real, Get Married, right? And that's my goal for singles. I want them to get real and I want them to get married. But the real goal is that they stay real and stay married. I want people to stay real, stay married. But I don't want you to just stay married. I want you to stay happily married. I want you to stay healthfully married. I want you to build a relationship that can withstand the test of time and that can last a lifetime. Like my in-laws, 60 years they've been married. My little special story, my parents and my in-laws have the same anniversary date, 12 years apart. So my in-laws are celebrating 60 years. My parents would have been celebrating 48 years. My mom passed away several years ago, but they had a beautiful relationship that they worked on for a lifetime and they built. And so I saw long-term marriages all throughout my lifetime. And I research long-term healthy marriages because this is what I work in, this is what I believe in, and this is what I want for people. And I know it exists, and I know it only takes one. It doesn't take two. If you have both partners in, great, all the better. But you don't need two people to actually make a significant difference. You just need one person who knows what to do and how to do it, and you will see that the other person starts to follow along. It happens really, really naturally. So I would love to know who's ready. Who is ready for a 40-day marriage challenge? Who wants to continue this conversation and continue this growth and to see what's going to happen over the next 40 days? Who wants to be that person to take their marriage from where you are today to your next level? Who wants to go to the next higher height and to have the tools? This isn't just for 40 days. These are the tools that you need for a lifetime. If you have these tools, you will be set to build a relationship for a lifetime. So comment in the chat box if you're ready to continue with this 40-day adventure with me.
It's so nice. People are writing, yes, me, I want it, me. That is really exciting. So let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about how to join and continue on this journey. Oh, sounds good. Yes, definitely. Okay, let me go ahead and give you all of the details. And as soon as I do that and help you guys register, we are also going to get to some live Q&A time. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten. We have plenty of time for your questions as well. But let me get you registered so that you know that you are part of this journey with Aleeza. Okay, so here we go. There were also some people earlier on mentioning that they didn't see the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is back up. So if you still are having trouble seeing anything, please let us know right here in the chat box as well, because we have some customer service on the line to help you with that too. So what you're going to get is the next 6 weeks of live classes with Aleeza, starting with week 1 on how to honor and respect your sense of self while growing and nurturing your soulmate connection. It's called The Balance Between Me and We. Then we're going to follow up with that on the foundations of your love, how to reactivate your love by challenging the art of giving and receiving 100% of the time. In week 3, we're going to be talking about transforming your relationship, how to level up your love with these 3 actions and elicit the metamorphosis of marriage. In week 4, trusting your connection, how to accept and embrace your soul connection even when reality doesn't present as expected. Then strengthening your future as a couple, how to connect with your spouse's heart message and grow your love to manifest the marriage you desire. And finally, in week 6, a full hour of Q&A time so that you can make sure that all of your questions get answered by Aleeza and also help implement everything that she went through in the previous 5 weeks. All of these classes are going to take place on Mondays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Israel time, but don't worry, if you can't make it to a live class, you will always have a recording available to you to listen to or download at your convenience. And those classes we try to get out the very next day for you so that you can listen to it or re-listen to it if you do show up for the live class as well. Plus, in addition to all 6 weeks of live classes, you'll also get a direct WhatsApp support group with Aleeza, so that through your 6-week journey or your 40-day journey, you'll be able to ask questions not only to Aleeza, but with the like-minded group of people all trying to work on your marriages. So you can see questions and answers. Aleeza will be obviously the one to run that WhatsApp group so that she can get to your questions and give you the answers you so rightfully deserve. You'll also get the 40-Day Marriage Challenge digital workbook, which Aleeza just kind of showed you a little glimpse of. This 88-page digital workbook will give you short action steps and inspiration in order to experience change in your marriage. And the way that Aleeza so beautifully set this up as well is that you can either, go ahead and print each page for yourself and write everything down in your notebook, or you can actually do it right online. Just download it and save it somewhere that is easy for you to access, and you can actually fill it in right there online. Plus an additional live bonus class on Happy Me, Happy Marriage. Join Aleeza to discover the steps you can take towards prioritizing self-care and thereby enhancing all aspects of your married life. So you can see that this is an additional bonus class, which will give you a little bit more insight just into yourself and knowing yourself, truly honoring what you need as a person to make yourself happy so that you can show up in your marriage and help make the relationship happy, successful, and healthy. As you can see, Aleeza will be walking you through all aspects of marriage. You'll have one-on-one support throughout the program, and will have the unique opportunity to get your personal questions answered that you haven't been able to get answered previously. Now you'll have a supportive community of like-minded people right at your fingertips, plus a one-of-a-kind mentor to take you through this journey successfully. But most importantly, by investing in yourself and your marriage today, you'll discover how to bring the joy, fun, and laughter back to your marriage. You'll be able to revive the spark by ending the negative patterns, stop feeling stuck in a mediocre marriage, and elevate your marriage to new heights, and bring the respect and admiration back to the forefront of your relationship. An opportunity like this doesn't come along often, but we listened to our community and brought you an all-inclusive workshop to help boost your relationship to where you'd like it to be. And for the next 24 hours, you'll get an incredibly discounted rate. Plus, to make it more accessible, we're also offering payment plan options when you register. So you can become a member of our 40-Day Marriage Challenge and get the full 6 live online weekly sessions delivered by Aleeza, plus the recordings of all of those sessions delivered to you weekly in your own personal membership area to listen to or download at your convenience. You'll also get the opportunity to get all of your questions answered in a full live Q&A session, plus the direct WhatsApp support group, your digital 40-Day Marriage Challenge workbook, and the additional live class on Happy Me, Happy Marriage, all for just $297 when you register today. So you can see you save an additional $100 just for this introductory rate. So instead of $397, you'll only pay $297 for all of the above. I'm going to go ahead and share the link with you so that you can go ahead and register and grab your spot. Because this is a 40-Day Marriage Challenge, we do want to make it accessible to as many people as possible. We'd love for you to bring, like Aleeza said, a support group of your own as well, a friend, a relative, someone to help hold you accountable for those challenges and the exercises. But we also do want to make sure that we are keeping it to a number that is still able to get as much support and one-on-one from Aleeza. So make sure to register quickly before the spots do get taken up. And I'm actually going to give you one more extra bonus just for being here right on the line with us. And that is for the next, we'll probably be on the line for about 45 more minutes, getting questions and answers. Anyone who signs up right now in the next 45 minutes will be entered into an automatic raffle, which will, which will give you an opportunity to get your spot totally free. So when you register, you'll automatically be entered, and one person who is registered will be picked out tomorrow to get their whole package free, which means that when you register now, you'll go ahead and pay. And if you are chosen as the raffle winner, then we will go ahead and refund your payment, and you'll continue on your journey for free. So please make sure to go now. It's going to be www.jewishworkshops.com/40 days. I'm going to put that right in your chat box. I'll also put it up here on the screen. For anyone who's here on the phone with us, it's www.jewishworkshops.com/40 days. It's 40 days. Let me go ahead and get it onto your screen as well. Excuse me. If you're having any trouble or need help registering, please feel free to come back to your chat box right now and just put your name and your phone number. Like I mentioned, Hannah's here on the line. Sapporo will be here as well. We will give you a call and help you register over the phone, or you can always email us at jewishworkshops@jewishworkshops.com if you have a specific question or need help. I don't want you to miss this opportunity, and I certainly don't want you to miss this extra special bonus of the raffle, getting entered into our raffle. And like I said, that's just for the next 45 minutes or so. So go now and grab your spot, www.jewishworkshops.com/40 days. Once you're in and you've got your spot, please come on back and let me know your first name, your initials, just the words "I'm in." I would love to be able to welcome you. Also keep an idea of how many spots are taken up right away. So please come on back and let us know right away. Just the words "I'm in" with your name, and I will be able to welcome you. If you have any questions about the program itself, again, would love to hear from you. Please come and let us know what questions so that I can answer them. Most likely, if you've got a question, if I didn't explain something properly, or if you'd like to know more, I'm sure someone else is thinking the same thing. So just let us know right here in the chat box. And of course, if you have questions for Aleeza, we're going to be here taking questions for the next little while. So again, come on back and let us know. Let me see. I do see some things have come in. So let me see here. How long is each weekly workshop? It's 1 hour sessions each week. So 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern every Monday, or 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Israel time. Is this Canadian dollars? No, this is US dollars for everybody who is wondering. Is the class open to husbands as well? Absolutely. If you can do the 40-day marriage challenge as a couple, kol hakavod to you. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing. If not, of course, as Aleeza mentioned several different times, it only takes one person. So you can sign up. The course that you're paying for is for you and your husband to be able to listen to. We obviously ask that you don't pass anything along to anyone else outside of your household, but you and your husband or you and your wife absolutely are both eligible, and we certainly support and would love to see couples being able to do it together. When will the bonus class take place? The bonus class will take place also following the full course of 6 weeks. We will send out that exact date to you coming up soon. I don't think that I have it even on the calendar yet, but we will let you know and make sure that you have enough time in advance to put it onto your calendar. Okay, if you have any questions about the payment plan options, or you need help with, again, registering for those payment plan options, come on back and let us know with your name and your telephone number, please. We're happy to go ahead and give you a call to help you register over the phone. And I do want to go ahead and just welcome our brand new members. Welcome, Rachel. So wonderful to have you. Welcome, Rivka, and welcome, Chaya. Great to see all of you in. Please come on back and let us know once you've registered. I would really like to be able to welcome you too. Now, Aleeza, I did see a few questions coming in, so I want to go ahead and get to those too. Let's see. You had mentioned earlier, and I think I just mentioned it as well, it only takes one person, but can you also discuss how to approach a relationship in general when one person really isn't invested in growth or change, and one person, is ready to move forward?
Great question. So you cannot make or force or push somebody to change. You can, you also really, it doesn't work well when you try to encourage them, like, oh, if you just try this, sweetheart. It doesn't usually work so well. But what I like to say is you can entice them to change. And what I mean by that is by you bringing to the relationship something that feels good to you and to them, to both of you, that draws them back in. And it's almost like a magnet. It almost pulls them together with you, and it brings you together closer. And that's the goal of having the workshops and the workbook, that really is this magnet to draw somebody else in. So it's not like we're not pulling them in, right? There's not this effort of like really making an effort about them. Leave them where they are, okay? Either A, we're gonna go to meet them where they are, or B, we're gonna work on what we need to work on for our relationship, and they're going to start to feel not just the energy, but the things that are happening around them, and they're gonna want to be a part of it. I've seen it happen so many times. I know it doesn't, as I'm describing it, I'm going, you're probably not, and you're like, Aleeza, that's not gonna happen. That doesn't make any sense. So I know what you're going through, and I've felt it, and I've seen it over and over and over again. But when you stop focusing on them and you let them be, and again, it's not focusing on them, it's not focusing on me, it's focusing on what does my relationship need? And that's what we answer, right? We have the answers to that in the program. This is what your relationship needs. Something will start to attract that person. Now, the reason that I love that we have 40 days, not just for all the amazing reasons that 40 is such a special number, is that it's not just one of these 5 things. Try one of these 5 things, and that should work, right? It's here's so many different ways to build your relationship with your partner. Many of them are going to work. Some of them might not be your partner's style. That's okay. You might not like some of them, but with 40 different options of how to build this relationship, there's going to be many things that work for you and for them that are going to help you to take your relationship to the next level.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I keep myself on mute when you're talking, and I just forgot to unmute myself for a minute there. We had another question come in, and I'm going to kind of, instead of reading out the specifics of the question, I'm going to kind of reword it, because I think that it actually applies to a lot of people. And basically the underlying question is dealing with a critical spouse. So somebody who's constantly walking in the door with a negative outlook and speaking negatively and criticizing and constantly looking for the other spouse to be doing better, to be doing more, to be more pleasing. How can we approach that in a relationship, and will this 40-day challenge address that as well?
So the answer is yes, it will address that, but not in a direct manner, meaning we're not going to talk about critical spouses. We're not going to hyper focus on what you need to do with them. What we're going to hyper focus on is what can I bring to my relationship that is going to be good and healthy for my relationship. The criticism is something that they do. I'm sure that they do it at work. I'm sure that they do it with their friends, and they do it at home. Right? When somebody is that way, it's a part of who they are and how they interact with the world. And it's not just your world, it's the world with you and them together. So in order to get something different to happen, we have to have something else for them to focus on at home and some other way to, again, build our relationship. So somebody's critical. So, right, if we ignore them, then they're going to feel like you can't hear them, then they're probably going to shout at you louder. And if we say, I didn't do that, they're going to say, yes, you did, right? And they're going to dig into the situation, and they're going to make it worse. So it's nice if you can just Acknowledge that there's something going on. I understand that you're upset with that. I see that that's not to your liking. Okay, thank you for sharing that with me. Acknowledgement, okay? And now what I want you to focus on, I don't want you to focus on that. I want you to actually focus on all of the activities that build a relationship, that help you remember my spouse is critical. That's not the reason that you married them. You married them for a different reason. Why'd you marry them? Tell me something else you know about them. Because when they're focused on being critical, that's who they are, that's what they're doing. Okay, fine. But there's so many other traits about somebody. There's so many other qualities about them, and we're not focusing on them, and neither are they. But when we start focusing on them, then something else can happen. And so I want you to shift your focus, and I don't want you to be hyper-focused on being critical. So it's not going to be a course in how to solve critical spouses. It's going to be a course in how to build your relationship with any kind of spouse. So the tools here will help you to go from, like right now, instead of this me and you, right, connected, you might feel a little bit more distant, right? Like that point of being together is further. We're trying to bring you back together and to mend that relationship and to help you to focus on the things that brought you together in the first place and that are going to keep you together for a lifetime.
Thank you so much. I think that was beautifully said. I've got some more questions coming in. I just want to go ahead and welcome Bill, one of our newest members. Welcome Yocheved. Wonderful to see you as well. Welcome Shoshana. Great to have you. And Sarah, welcome. We continue to see people signing up. So again, I really urge you to come back and let us know when you've registered. Just put your name and the words "I'm in." I would love to be able to welcome you too. And let me get to some more questions here. Aleeza, sorry, I'm just going to read through this to make sure I can ask it in the best way. I have a great relationship and friendship with my spouse, but when he uses marijuana on occasion, I find it destroying. Then everything about my spouse looks negative. So it takes several days to rebuild the relationship again. And then each time it just gets worse for me. So I think we can actually take this example and also use it for really anything that, a spouse does that we disapprove of. If we could go ahead and just answer that. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question now so that the person who wrote it in can maybe respond a little bit, with more information. Yeah. So the first part of it is what is ruined about the relationship, right? So I'll just, right, if a person is an alcoholic, they are usually sometimes angry, violent. There's a lot of negative behaviors that come out, and it's a very difficult human being to deal with. If a person's using marijuana, usually they're like the little more chilled, easygoing, laid back. So maybe they're not going to follow through with the chores that they're doing. Maybe they're not going to follow through with work as much as other things that might happen, but there's less of a negative energy and a vibe that's there. And so my question is like, what is it about that situation that doesn't work? Or is it just simply, I don't like that habit and I don't want my spouse to have that habit? So that's my first question. And when we're talking about, sorry, Jillian, do me a favor, because I wanted to dig into that, but the question is, it ruins the relationship, and how do we get back to where we need to go? Right. Is that the question? It sounds like each time it happens, it just gets worse and worse and harder to get back to where they once were. Right. So, so there's different ways of working through this. And obviously the way that I'm promoting at the moment is this is something that exists, right? This is not the reason you married the person, right? I love you. I married you because, and I have reasons why I picked you, okay? This goes in the other category of all of those things I don't really like, I don't really appreciate, and I don't really value about you. However, there are things I value about you, and when I hyper-focus on this thing, then we lose everything, right? So it doesn't matter. I could have a list of 10, 50, 100 things that I like about you. One thing you do that I don't like, I'm triggered, and that's it. And everything shuts down. All of a sudden, you're negative in my eyes. What you're doing is wrong. I don't like what's happening, how you're treating me, whatever it is. All of a sudden, we shut down everything that we valued about somebody because of a situation. And then that's a trigger, as you said, that lasts
for several days, and it goes on and it gets dragged out, and then you recover, and then you go through the cycle again. But as you're describing, it gets harder and harder over time. It might even last longer and longer. So what I want you to try doing, because obviously hyper focusing on it and digging into it at the moment isn't working for you. Maybe you've been to therapy, maybe you haven't with your partner, maybe that's been something that's been a supportive thing to you, maybe it hasn't. But the way that I want you to work on it is, this is my partner and this is what's happening, right? As long, I'm not talking about abuse, addiction, anything, God forbid, that's dangerous to your life. But my partner does this or has this habit, and this is, I don't like this. This is upsetting me. This is ruining my relationship. Great. So my partner does that. I don't want you to dig. I don't want you to hyper focus. I don't want you to look at it, and I don't want you to sit there steaming in anger and just getting really upset over and over again and just reliving this moment. I want you to go to the worksheets. I want you to go through step by step. Why am I in this? And who is my partner? And how am I building my relationship? And what can I do today? One thing today to build this relationship, right? Even if you just took what I showed you about but why you appreciate and love your partner, right? In that moment. Now, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about how upset you are. But if you put that aside for a minute, and that for 30 seconds doesn't exist in your world, and you see a different side, the side that you love, the side that you connected to, the reason that you're in this relationship, you can come up with something that you appreciate about them. But when we hold things out of balance, right? When we hold what we don't like as 100% and everything that we do like goes to 0%, our relationship will never feel good. Now, this is one part of our relationship, one, and it could disappear in 10 minutes or 2 hours or overnight, but it ruins our relationship for a lifetime. And if we can soften that, and we can raise the volume of what we value about our partner, what we value about our relationship, why we got into this, and if we can look at the side of building and figuring out what actually is here. Clearly, this person is in my life, and I chose them and they chose me, and we are here. Why are we here? How do we get to where we need to be? Well, you have to pick a direction. Focusing on the negative won't get you there. It'll get you hot. It'll get you angry. It'll prove your point. You can be right, but you can be dead right. You can kill your marriage because you're so right that you ruin it. It doesn't matter. It's not about being right. It's about, what does my relationship need? Maybe, I don't know, is your partner doing it because it's a habit? Okay, maybe it's a habit. What if it's not? Maybe your partner's doing it because they're bored, because they don't have your attention. Maybe they're feeling a lack of connection, and so they're doing this because this helps them to relax and try to connect with you more. Who knows? I don't know why they're doing it. But if you work to build the relationship, you'll have a chance at seeing the good in the relationship and growing the good in the relationship instead of tearing it down day by day by day.
Amazing. Thank you so much. She did write back, so I just want to make sure that and said thank you so much too. But it was his behavior. It just seems strange and a little too dreamy. So she just doesn't want him to have this habit. So exactly. I think that you answered everything.
I'm glad I wanted an answer. I've worked with a lot of couples, so I've seen this, and that's why I asked for the specifics. He is going to be totally dreamy. He is going to be like the whole world is just like he could just see things happening, and it's not going to exist in reality, but like he feels things, sees things, you know, like it to you, it's going to seem like La La Land and dreamy. And to him, it's like this, a little utopia. It calms, it feels good, it eases his mind. I have to tell you, I'm going to give you, specifically for this example with marijuana, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. And your homework assignment is, from a loving place, I want you to sit with your smile on your face and indulge in his dreamy conversation and enjoy it. You might actually have a nice time. He might actually open up to you more than he can do on his own naturally, because people, when they have a drink or they smoke something, they're a little less inhibited and they speak a little more freely. Now, I'm not promoting the behavior. I'm not anything. I'm just addressing that this is happening. And what if you handled the situation differently? How would your life change? I had a couple that I was working with, and he was smoking marijuana, and she was not sure how she felt about it because she's not into drugs and those types of things, and it was very upsetting to her. And we explored this from this perspective of, first of all, can she handle this and all of that? And we figured out how to navigate it. And I said, and let's try to be with him in that moment. Why don't you explore what he's feeling? He knows what you're feeling. He knows you're not happy with him. Why don't you explore this dreamy state with him? Why don't you sit? Why don't you laugh? Have a moment. It's going to be different. It's not going to be what you're used to. It might not be what you like, but try something out of your box in that moment and try to build a connection. And it's not about that moment. Really, it's about building a connection moments after that. And that can only happen when you meet somebody where they're at, when you come to them in that place, when you accept him. You don't have to understand him, and you don't have to like his behavior, but you can just accept, this is what's happening right now. Let me sit with you in this moment. When you sit side by side, there's something special that happens. There's something that is a quiet, comfortable, my person's with me, even though I know they don't agree with this, even though I know they don't like it, they're sitting here with me, and that's meaningful to me. And they're doing something for me, and it starts to trigger, I'm going to do something for them. And it just starts to happen. Just because you took a step and you took one step closer to be there side by side with him, he's going to take one step closer to be there by you, and he doesn't have to take the class, and he doesn't have to know anything. It's just your actions are going to be mirrored by his actions, and they're going to go back and forth. So when you have the negative one, that's why we start arguing, and I say something and you say something, and all of a sudden we're fighting. Why? We're mirroring each other's energy. But if you mirror a different energy, you can have a different result, a really different result.
Thank you so much. And the person who wrote in also says thank you so much. So that's really nice. I'm glad that you were able to answer that. I want to go ahead and just welcome our brand new members, and we'll continue to get to more questions that are coming in. Welcome, Lisa. Great to have you. Welcome, SD. Great to have you as well. And let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Welcome, Deborah. Great to have you too. Okay, we do have some more questions, so I definitely want to make sure we're getting to those. Someone did ask just, again, if you have questions about the program itself, and I think that Aleeza did a wonderful job of explaining so much of what's coming up. But if you have any questions specifically about the program, of course, please come back and let us know. We'll answer those too on the line, because I want to make sure that everyone gets the answers that they're looking for, and that we continue to get people registered in time to be entered into the raffle. So come on back and let us know if you have questions. Someone asked, are the weekly sessions going to be webinars or more of a discussion like we're doing right now? All of the classes are going to be really full of content. Aleeza's got so much to share with you, so many amazing exercises and tools for you to use. So it will be a full webinar, and probably a little bit of time at the very end for some questions, but then that last 6th week session will be a full hour of Q&A. So it's going to be a lot like this. We'll have people we'll actually give you the opportunity to send in your questions ahead of that class. You'll also be able to ask questions live on the line. But if you can't make it, you'll be able to get your questions still sent in ahead of time, and Aleeza will do her best to get through as many as possible in that session too.
Right. We're also going to have the WhatsApp group. So I love it. I tell people, you don't have to write in and say, this is my personal question. You can say, my friend, everybody can have a friend. My friend is dealing with something, and here's the situation, and how would you handle this? Or how can I move through this a little bit more gracefully? Or how can I use this tool that we're discussing to help my situation? So I love the WhatsApp group because it's more real time, and it doesn't have to be, right there on the webinar. It can be throughout the 6 weeks that you have, when these questions and these things come up, it's that you have that support right there. Like it's on your phone, it's right next to you. You can grab it and you can reach out whenever you need.
Thank you so much for reminding us of that. Also, please, if you're uncomfortable sending in a personal question, feel free to email us at Jewish Workshops. We will be on the WhatsApp group as well. We're happy to post something if for some reason you're uncomfortable posting it, but we definitely want to make sure you're getting your questions answered. So there's always that option as well. Let me get to a couple more questions here before we run out of time. Let's see. This actually sounds a little bit like a follow-up to what you've been just answering, and it's somebody totally different. So obviously, as you can see, a lot of people have the same kinds of questions. People are dealing with the same things in their marriages as well. So even if I stay focused on all of the positives and generally live in that positive place, how can I deal with the big issue or issues that are still there, and that I still strongly disagree with or disapprove of, especially when other people are bringing them up, especially if our children are noticing these issues and bringing them up? How can I feel and respond in a respectful way when that underlying disrespect really eats away at the relationship?
Right. Okay, so I think we got to the root of it. The word disrespect is something
Exactly.
that you said at the end. So, okay, so let's give just an example that one of the spouses is disrespectful to the others, whether it's to the spouse or to the children or to other people when they're together or other family members. So in terms of like, we have the overall marriage, we have the relationship. Okay, great, Aleeza, wonderful, we're gonna build my marriage, yay. But we have this big, heavy issue. So here's the deal with big, heavy issues. Mostly we deal with these big, heavy issues for a lifetime. So imagine when somebody has a disease, just for example, you have chicken pox, right? You get chicken pox, and then what happens? The disease lies dormant in your body. Could you get it again? You could, right? Most likely you're not going to get it. Later on, it maybe comes back as shingles, right? It's there. It could come back, right? So sometimes we have these big, heavy issues. Sometimes they're a little bit quieter or they're a little bit more dormant, and other times they're a little bit louder. And during times of stress, stress with family or money or moving or jobs, all of those are top key stressors in the world. When there's times of stress, usually that issue goes from, I don't like it and I'm just tolerating it, to, oh my gosh, you have to stop. I can't take this, okay? Because it just goes through a cycle of spiking up and being something that's really difficult to deal with. And especially when you're dealing with it with other people in the world, and other people are noticing it and they're saying something. So let's just take the example of children and let's use disrespect. So you're with your spouse and your spouse is speaking disrespectfully to you, and your children are noticing it, and they come to you privately and they're telling you, this is, I don't like the way they're speaking to you, and this is unacceptable, blah, blah, and I'm really struggling, and why are they saying this? And right, you can sit down and you can have a very real, just depending on the age of the child, you have to know your child. Or let's say it's a family member, it could be a sibling, a parent, anybody. And you could have a discussion and you could let them know at the age appropriate level. Every relationship has the good and the other. Every relationship has love and a foundation of two people wanting to be together. And it also has all the things that we struggle with. And you're noticing something that we struggle with. And it's been not so great recently. It's actually been really hard. And I know that you're noticing it, and I want you to know that I notice it. And I want you to know that it's something that we're working on, but it's not something that we can solve overnight. It's not something probably that we can solve next week or maybe even next month. It's going to be an issue that we're working through and we're trying to resolve, but it's going to be something that we struggle with. Everybody has something they struggle with. This is kind of our thing. Maybe we have two things, maybe we have three things, but this is one of our big things that we struggle with, and we're working through it. And then later on at another time, not when your partner is in a heated moment, that was, talking to a child or a spouse or somebody else, but on the side of your partner, you can have a similar conversation with your partner. Look, I'm in this marriage. You know why? Not just that I love you. I married you because we had a good time together, because we had similar values, because you name the reasons, but you have to have a good number of reasons, not 2, not 3, not 5. I need you to have 10, 15, 20 reasons. I picked you because of this. I love you because of this. This is what I value about you. And I'm noticing, it's not a negative word, it's not a bad word. I'm noticing that there's a lot of disrespect happening, and it doesn't feel good, and I'm feeling really uncomfortable, and I'm noticing that the children or family are feeling uncomfortable, and I wanted to open up a conversation so that we can make a safe space to talk about this, because I'm struggling right now, and I wanted to bring this up with you. And we don't have to talk about it now. We could talk about it later, but I just wanted to bring this subject to the table. And when it's the right time, let me know and let's have a conversation about it. Now, you might want to talk about it in that moment, but you've been thinking about this. You've been planning it. You've been working through this. Your partner just got notification about this. So it's like their brain is going like this right now. And they're just like, what? I didn't do, maybe they're trying to justify their behavior. Maybe they're saying it's your fault. Who knows what they're saying? But you just sprung something on them. You said it in a respectful, beautiful way where you were looking for solutions and not digging into the problem. And what you need to do is to give the person time to digest the information, and maybe even say to them, I don't really want to like have a full-on conversation about this now, but I'd like to schedule something in a week or so for us to just make time to talk about this, because this is something that I'm struggling with and that we're struggling with. And I want to give us the proper time to work through this. And that's how I would approach it so that we can have that conversation. Now, are they going to change their behavior tomorrow? No. Might they get worse tomorrow because now you're calling them out on it and it just riles them up? They might. I don't know what's going to happen. But if you come neutral, calm, level-headed, grounded, I value you because I know your greatness. When I can say to my partner, I know what's good about you. I know your good side. I know your other side too. I could have a conversation about the other side. But if I come to my partner and I say, you just never, you're so disrespectful all the time, you never do this, and I can't stand it when you say that, and I come from the negative, what's my partner going to do? They're going to look at me and be like, well, you do that too. You know what you do? And then they're going to give me my laundry list of everything. When I come with an even representation, I know you're good. I identified it. I can articulate exactly what I value and I appreciate about you. That's why I'm here. And this thing, I just want to have a conversation about, can we look at this? Can we talk about this? Then my partner can go, oh, you know my good? Oh, I have good. Yeah, I forgot about that. Wow. Yeah, I haven't been so great recently, right? It gives them a chance to own up to the behavior that's happening. And they can only do that when they know that you know who they really are. Because if you only recognize the negative or the bad side of somebody, you never show them that you know the good, then they think you don't know me and you don't understand me and we can't have a conversation. But when you come balanced with the information, now a person's going to be receptive to actually having a real conversation with you and working through it. They might not have the skills, they might have the tools. We don't know what you're going to need to work through it, but you're just going to open up the conversation in a safe, healthy way that's going to build your partner up so that they can have a real conversation with you.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful answer. And I just want to say we've actually had a few people write in. What a beautiful answer and a beautiful approach. So thank you so much.
Welcome.
I want to go ahead and just answer a few more questions here. And of course, welcome our newest members. So let me just answer some of the questions that were coming in after we discussed the WhatsApp group. I know this is super important, again, especially in the case that we're talking about people's marriages. There are very sensitive topics, obviously very personal topics and questions that will arise. WhatsApp groups, unfortunately, you're unable to stay completely anonymous in that your name will show up as it is registered to your regular WhatsApp. You can obviously, if you have another number or if you change your registration, you can take your name out or put your phone number will show up. You can take your name out. You can put, like a little smiley face instead of a name. You can do that on your side. Otherwise, unfortunately, once you join the group, the way that you're registered in WhatsApp is the way that you will show up. So if your name is there, your name will show up and your phone number as well. When you have a personal question, when you have a sensitive question, when you don't feel comfortable or safe having your identity known to anyone, even if it's just, my name is Sarah, there's a million Sarahs. If you're not comfortable with that, we understand and we want to protect you and make you feel as comfortable as possible. So when that happens, please feel free to send us a question into jewishworkshops@jewishworkshops.com. Of course, obviously, we will see the name, but we will not post any names with this. We can post it in the WhatsApp group as an anonymous question. Therefore, everyone can see the question, and then everyone will also be able to see Aleeza's response. So by being in that group, you'll be able to see the questions come in. You'll be able to see your own questions come in, whether you post it or not. You'll be able to see Aleeza's replies, but that way you'll feel as comfortable as possible because you'll completely be able to remain anonymous. And I do want to say too, yeah, sorry. No, it's fine. There are a few people here as well who don't have WhatsApp. What if I don't have WhatsApp? What if I don't want to have WhatsApp? That's okay too. Feel free to send in your questions to us at Jewish Workshops. We will post those questions. We will still get the answers for you, and we are obviously able to then email that question and answer back to you. Yes, sorry.
No, I wanted to say the other thing about WhatsApp, besides having written text where you write in the questions, I can respond with written text, but I can also respond with an audio message. So I'll be able to, like, sometimes you can get something out of written text, but sometimes you want to like hear it. You want to have, it's almost like you're having an asynchronous conversation. So you're able to do that with the group as well. So I think that that's also like another nice benefit, and those can also be, you know, passed on and sent around as well.
That's very true. I mean, thank God, we've been very fortunate to have Aleeza give other courses through Jewish Workshops with us. We've had these WhatsApp support groups. They've been absolutely phenomenal because you really get a good taste of what other people are going through, what other people's questions are. And as Aleeza just mentioned, she oftentimes will answer with a little voice note, and it is as if I just called her, left her a message, and she, you know, left me a message back. And it's amazing. It's wonderful. It's like a little class, you know, in 3 minutes time. It's, and she, thank God also, I mean, Aleeza's in Israel right now, but whether we post a question, you know, at 2 in the morning or 10, she's so wonderful about getting to it as quickly as possible. And we really appreciate that as well. But you won't go a very long time without getting a question answered. And it really is a wonderful means to have that support. And again, to see, you know, what other people have questions about as well. You're not alone in this. And I think that that is so important. Aleeza mentioned it in the class as well. Just like when we go on, you know, a 40-day challenge to exercise and, you know, get in shape. And it's so great to have that buddy or that team of people on your side, because you know that, okay, you know, like if I don't get up this morning and do my run, like I said I would, there's people like counting on me, and we're doing this together, and we're trying to really make a difference. And so with this, it's really the same thing. It's so nice to have people in your corner and people cheering you on, and people, you know, coming from the exact same place that you are, or a very similar place that you are. And we all have the same goal in mind. We are all trying to get to that extra, you know, that higher rung on the ladder. We're all trying to just make those extra strides and those steps forward in our relationships. And the way to do that is to have, you know, an amazing mentor like Aleeza, and to also have people on your side, in your corner, really helping you out. So again, I don't want to get caught up so much in the logistics of WhatsApp specifically. If anyone has additional questions, you're feeling uncomfortable, you don't understand completely, feel free to give us a call or email us at any time. We're here for you. We also have people in America. We have people in Israel. We have people, one of our teammates is in India right now. We have people everywhere right at this moment. So please feel free. Again, we will get back to you. We'll get your questions answered. And as we're running out of time here, I want to remind you to get registered if you're ready. If you feel very comfortable doing that, get registered now. We'll put you right into the raffle automatically, and you'll have your spot available. And then we can, of course, answer questions and logistics and details about anything that you still have questions about. With the little time that we have left, I just want to see if we can answer a few more questions, or at least one more question. There were some more that were coming in here. Aleeza, sorry. Was there something that I talked over you about? Did you have something else too?
No, I just, I think that there's a lot that comes up from the course, the material. It's almost like it's a breeding ground for bringing all that stuff up that you never had anybody to ask those questions to, right? Like they've been sitting there and you've been married and you've been just trying to figure it out on your own. And by being in this group and being a part of the program, you now have a safe space to ask those things and to remember all of those things that you're afraid of. Oh yeah, oh, that's what I wanted to ask somebody, right? Like this has been going on, and right, I don't know how to do that. Oh, somebody else is going through that. And I think that it's just a really healthy way to move through the process, and like you said, to have the accountability that you need to follow through with it. And we're going to put in a hyper focused effort. It's like jump starting your marriage, and you do it for 40 days, and then you're going to see that there's going to be this shift of something, the energy that's going to come into the relationship because you've been putting so much more effort and energy into it. And the way that you feel about it and the way that your partner feels about it, it's just going to shift. And then you're going to kind of be at a new level. So like wherever you are coming in, we're going to take you to your next level. And then you don't go back down afterwards. You just kind of like level off at the new spot. And then your goal is to keep going like that and to be bringing your relationship up and up and up.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Let's get to this last question here. We've been married for a long time, and I feel like we just have nothing in common. My spouse never wants to do anything as a couple, and I feel like I'm grasping at straws.
Right. Right. So we can't go right to the past, right? Everything that you've done in the past or anything that you have in the past had in common, right? Like, okay, we're done. Now we have to move on. What we need to do is to, first of all, make a safe space to have a conversation, and even to call out the elephant in the room. Sweetheart, I know you're not super interested in doing stuff together, but we got married, right? Surprise, we got married, been married for how many years, right? Fill in the blank. And I really need us to make a little bit, or I want us to make an effort to find something that we could do together. And I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not sure. You know, we've been here a long time, and our interests are now different or varied. But I'd like to spend some time exploring something that we could actually do together. And I know maybe you don't want to do that, or I've approached you before and it doesn't seem like it's something that's, you know, on your agenda, but this is important to me and it's important to our relationship. And I'd love for us to give it a try. Can we start with, and pick something that you think that they're interested. Let's try, this time we'll do something that you're interested, then we'll do something that I'm interested, then we'll try something new together. Let's see if there's anything that works for us so that we can find a way for us to connect on a new level in a new way. And to find something, because we don't have as much in common anymore. It seems like maybe, you know, we're different and we haven't spent time doing this. So let's take a few moments and explore this, and over the next, don't put like a short timeline, over the next couple of weeks, you know, maybe once a week, we can try doing something together and see if there's anything that sticks. And again, it's like a little offer, it's a little enticing. And if you offer something that you think they might be more interested in, then it makes it a little bit easier for them to get started with it. And then you kind of go back and forth until you find something. If you don't find something within the first month, I would tell you to spend a little bit of time online together, just researching activities, hobbies, interests, and seeing where your hobbies and your interests align, and then try something in that way.
Fantastic. Thank you. We do have a couple questions also just coming in about how much time do we need to invest, or will this be for the course? Like, what is the time investment required? Which is actually a wonderful and valid question. And I think it's really smart of people to know what they have, their capabilities. So
Right. Yeah. So besides the class that's 1 hour a week, the worksheets that we give you, it's 2 worksheets per day. One is the repetitive worksheet that talks about, you know, what you bring to the relationship and what you love about your partner. And so however long it takes you to think of something, that's that worksheet. And then there's an activity for you to do. So the write-up about the activity, or what I want you to focus on for the day, it's very short. It might only be anywhere from 5 to 10 sentences that gives you this concept or this idea of what we want you to do. And how much time you spend on it is really up to you. Probably the most of the time is going to be spent in your mind, thinking about it, processing it, and moving through it, and less of it is about like sitting there and having to write something or having to do some activity that's going to take you a large quantity of time. So I would say having 5 to 10 minutes a day to be doing the thing that we want you to do or writing about something. And then the other time is just spent reflecting and thinking about it and being connected to it. It's bringing your awareness to your marriage on a daily basis for 40 days so that we can build it up, because what we focus on will grow, right? So if we put our effort and our attention in a positive way to build our relationship, we're going to grow that positive relationship. It just happens because that's the direction that we're heading. So, you know, if you're heading north on the highway and you keep going 60 miles an hour, you're going to get somewhere north, right? If you really want to go south, so don't head north because you're just going to keep going. So if I'm going north, if I'm going in a positive direction, building my relationship, and for 40 days, I'm going north, 40 days, I'm building my relationship, 40 days, I am going to get to a better place. It's just a natural result and a natural outcome from the effort that I'm going to be making.
Thank you so much. As we're closing up here, I want to go ahead and just welcome Linda, welcome Esther, welcome Bill and Shlomo. Sorry, I had one more here. Welcome, Dina. So great to have everybody joining us. It's really, really exciting to see this community come together. Aleeza, we've got several hundred people still here on the line with us, and we're so happy to have had everyone from around the world who came to spend their time with us, whether it was their morning, afternoon, evening. Thank you so much. So appreciated that you chose us to be with. If we could just leave them with some closing thoughts. Obviously, there's still some people who are on the fence. If we want to just go ahead and let them know, why is this the program that's going to take them, you know, to that next level? What is it that this is going to offer that can really help people make that decision if this is the time and the space and the right place for them?
So you just mentioned the time, and right now, not in all places, not in Australia, they're heading into the summer, but in many places in the world, we're heading into the winter, which tends to be a physically dark time, right? We just had Hanukkah, where we bring just one little light into the world, and that lights up the whole room, right? It brings so much light into the darkness. And I feel that this program is something that brings so much light into a marriage. And there tend to be less distractions through the winter, right? The summer, there's lots of activities and there's lots of things going on and people are going different places and maybe people are out of the routine. But in the winter, people tend to hibernate. We're also more likely to go into ourselves and be self-reflective. And so this is a beautiful time period for us to be spending 40 days to build our relationship, to give us the personal time to explore this, to be able to offer something to our partner, which is really like a light in the darkness of the winter, or a light in the challenge of our relationship, of wherever we are at. So I'm using a little bit of a play on the words, right? Like the 40-day marriage challenge. Well, we're using challenge as a positive thing to say, like, challenge yourself to do this. But you can also say the marriage challenge, right? Like, I'm living in a challenging marriage, and how do I shift through this? And so this program is what offers you the tools. What my favorite thing about this, and I could keep scrolling through it, I know Jillian said it's 88 pages, okay? And it goes, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's not a book, right? I told you 5 to 10 sentences, and then one, it's more a piece of artwork than a book. It's beautifully laid out to help you day by day with a piece of information, an activity, a quote, something you should do, something you should think about, and a way to build your relationship. And even if you tell me, Aleeza, I don't have so much time in the world, I have 5 minutes. We all have 5 minutes. I know we all have 5 minutes. Great. 5 minutes every day for 7 days is 35 minutes. Okay? Times 40 days. How many minutes are we going to put into that? Will you do this on your own? You won't. I won't. I'm going to be honest. If you said to me, Aleeza, for the next 40 days, you don't need this program. You can go online, Google it, figure out, fix my marriage, build my relationship, do something good, read a book. Am I going to spend focused effort for 40 days? I'm not, right? We pulled together the meaningful quotes with the action, with what you should do that's achievable today, that you can do it, and a format that just guides you through it step by step by step. It's bite-sized. So for anybody who's ADD or thinking, oh my gosh, 40 days, I'm so overwhelmed, this is made for people who have ADD, or made for people who love structure and organization, to a program that just easily guides you through it. It's not thoughts, it's not concepts, it's not ideas. Everything that we're doing is bringing it down into the real world for your relationship, so that you can do something about it right now today, and that your relationship can progress and it can thrive. That's the whole goal, is that we build your relationship. I know for everybody, all those names that you listed, Jillian, they are going to sign up. And at the end of 40 days, well, we'll wait for the testimonials, but they are going to be saying some amazing things that are going to shock. I would say it's going to shock you. Really? That you could do that with your marriage in 40 days? I haven't been able to fix my marriage in 15 years with therapy. In 30 years, I haven't been able to do it. In 40 days, you're telling me you could make a really significant difference in my marriage? This program could do that? Yes. That's exactly what we did. We built a program in 40 days to give you the tools that you can do every day at home. Also, so that at the end of it, you're not left going, but what's next? What do I do? You have the tools you need to continue implementing it over and over again. Imagine after the program, you did the program, great. It took you to the next level. Now you're like, Aleeza, what do I do? Now I'm going to tell you, try the program and do it 1 a week for 40 weeks. Go through the whole year, digging into each one of those topics. You just took your marriage and you didn't do it for 40 days. Now you have a whole year behind you. The strength that your marriage is going to have, and the gift of time, and the gift of energy, and the gift of knowledge of the positive things that exist in your relationship, and knowing that you know how to build it, I know you're going to be fine going forward. I know you're not going to need the marriage help class, the Save My Marriage class. You're not going to need those things, because you'll have done it now. So you can focus on the things that are going to build your relationship, or you can wait until you have a real crisis, and then you can try to go get help for the crisis. I'd rather help you in, okay times or mediocre times or whatever, so that you don't have to go and get crisis support. This avoids that and helps you take you from where you are to being at a really great spot. And we do it in 40 days. It's like, oh, well, will we get results? You will get results. That's just how it works. You put in the effort, you get the results. You don't put in the effort, I can't tell you what you're going to get. 40 days from now, mark your calendar. 40 days. What's going to happen in 40 days? Look back and see, did something happen in my relationship if I didn't do a program, if I didn't commit to doing something for my relationship? I doubt it's going to shift. Mine doesn't. Mine doesn't shift unless I actually work on it, and unless I have accountability for doing what I am doing, which is why I always have a partner, or I always have a group that I'm working with, because I know when I have that, I am going to achieve it.
Thank you so much. That was really beautifully said. Thank you. And thank you for being here, Aleeza. We know that you also have an extremely busy schedule, working on a lot of different things, helping people from all over the world. So thank you for being with us. Thank you to everyone who joined. Really appreciate your time today. And I look forward to seeing all of our new members, our community that is continuing to grow and develop. We will absolutely be available to you. If you continue to have questions, if you still have some more details you want ironed out, please, again, reach out to us. You can give us a call or email us, jewishworkshops@jewishworkshops.com. We are always happy to answer any questions. If you still need help registering, absolutely, we are happy to do that. I'm going to actually leave the webinar open for another few minutes. You won't hear us and you won't see Aleeza anymore, but you will be able to put your name and your telephone number right here into the question box, so that we can reach out to you and help you get your spot. I just want to say welcome to Malka. She came in while Aleeza was doing her final response. So welcome to everyone. We are starting very shortly. Can't wait to see you on this 40-day journey. And please let us know if you have any questions. Your name and your phone number right here in the question box. We'll give you a call shortly. Thanks so much. Have a good one.